Welcome to the Rebellion Podcast. I am your host, Ryan Staker, and I'm here with my co-host,
Laura Rodriguez.
Okay, today's episode, we decided, since it's 2025 and we just started a new year, to recap the best moments for UNLV football and UNLV basketball in 2024. So the most exciting moments, the moments that, we're always going to remember. It wasn't like a ton of amazing stuff happened, but, well, I would say for football more than basketball, but there's still some really good moments, and I'm looking forward to talking about those today. So, yeah, it's been a fun year, a lot of ups and downs, roller coaster of emotions, and, as I go through all these, it's going to be fun to think about where we were that day, what our reaction was to everything, and yeah, so before we get into that, how have you been, Laura?
I've been good, Ryan. How have you been doing?
Pretty good. Tired, just, started work again this week after being off for 2 weeks, so it's an adjustment to get back into it. But, it's, you know how it goes. But, all right, let's go ahead and do this. So the way we're going to do this is I just did my own rankings of to me, the top 10 moments for UNLV football / basketball in 2024. And then I'm going to just go through it, talk about each one a little bit. We're not going to spend a ton of time on this episode. It's going to be one of the quicker ones. And then Laura's going to talk about some of her favorite moments and kind of where she sees things. It's kind of like when you look at these, it's kind of hard to like decide, what should be ahead of what or where each one should be ranked, because there's kind of like, a lot of nuance to this. Like, that was really exciting, but this what means more for the future. Kind of gauging where they should be in terms of being compared to each other. So, all right, we'll go ahead and start off with an honorable mention. And that is when the Runnin' Rebel basketball team beat Boston College in the NIT. I was at that game. Laura, you were at that game. It was a really good atmosphere. It was an exciting win because it was our second postseason win, which we hadn't done in a really long time. It just was fun. It was a fun atmosphere. They took all the people. They cut off the whole upper deck, right? So they condensed it down in the lower deck. And so it made it look more packed than it actually was. It kind of gave off an illusion that we had this packed crowd. And it was the usual lame 6,000 people in the Thomas and Mack, but it was loud. Boston College was a good team. They were a team that was hot, and we just put together a good 40 minutes of basketball to beat them. What did you think about that game, Laura?
It was definitely exciting. It gave me a lot of hope for the future in this season that we're in right now. So that definitely left us on a good note.
Right, and then I thought about putting this higher just for that reason, because that game was a lot to do with why I felt like the team this year in the 24-25 season was going to be good, because I felt like that momentum was going to carry over to this year. Unfortunately, hasn't been the case, but yeah, so I had to throw that one on there. So for number 10, I have the win at Houston for UNLV football, the season opener. That was August 31st, and we won 27-7. So I remember that game very well. We were here at my house, and you were here as well, Laura. For those of you who don't know, Laura is actually my wife's sister. So that's kind
sister-in-law.
No, my wife's sister. Oh, my sister-in-law. Okay, never mind. I'm tripping. Yeah. So my wife's sister, and she was actually over here. We had a newborn, so she was helping us with the baby, and we watched that game on TV. And I was really, really nervous about that game. I just wanted to start the season off with a win so bad. It was projected to be, I think Houston was actually favored, right? And then UNLV absolutely dominated them. It was 27-0. We almost shut them out until Houston scored a touchdown with a couple minutes left. And that game sort of set the tone for the season we were about to have. It was pretty awesome. So what did you think of that, Laura?
Absolutely. It got us, again, excited for the team and see what they could do and, get us set for the upcoming conference. And then, as we know, they did very well.
Yeah, and that was the first glimpse at how good this defense was, because we shut Houston down so bad. And it was just an exciting, great way to start the season. All right, so that was number 10. Number 9, I have UNLV basketball winning at Boise State, January 16th. We won 68-64. Rob Whaley led us with 18 points. What made that game so awesome is Boise, unfortunately, it's just one of those teams we can never seem to beat home or away. I don't know what the losing streak was before that. It might have been 8 games or something. So to beat Boise, an NCAA tournament team, a team that we can't seem to ever beat, to beat them on their home court was really exciting. And it got us kind of hyped up for this team, thinking, oh my gosh, maybe we can still make the tournament. And then I'm pretty sure we lost the next game. I think the next game was when we lost to Air Force by 30 points at home, which was an absolute nightmare. But very exciting win, and just absolutely loved it, and I'll never forget that. So awesome. Okay, that was number 9, and then number 8, I have UNLV men's basketball winning at New Mexico. New Mexico was ranked 25th in the country. Their team had a lot of hype behind them. That game was January 16th. We won 80-77. So New Mexico has a sold-out crowd. It's the pit. It's loud. It's a rivalry game. New Mexico was the clear favorites in that game, and we went in there and we beat them.
One of the hardest places to win at, in my opinion.
Absolutely. And for whatever reason, I don't understand why UNLV always plays well at the pit. We have this crazy record against New Mexico in the last several years. We've won like 10 out of the last 11 games, or 11 of the last 12, something like that. And Dedan Thomas went off that game. He had 25 points. I rewatched that game like 3 times. I loved it so much. Just seeing the crowd so depressed and quiet after the game, after you go in there and beat them. To me, Laura, my favorite wins are when you win a really big game on the road, because you just silenced 18,000 people. And they're all sad, and they're going home depressed.
Absolutely.
And they go home and beat their wives. And I'm just kidding. I took that joke a little far. All right. So that was number 8. So number 7, Laura, I have
Rebels win at Kansas.
Yes. UNLV football winning at Kansas. September 13th, we won 23-20. So that was huge for so many reasons. It was against a team that was previously ranked, a team that was considered one of the best teams in the Big 12, a very talented team, and it was a team that beat us the previous season, so we got revenge on them. It was a game that I definitely did not think we were going to win early on in the game, just the way it started. And then that's a testament to how well coached this Rebel team was, because there was a lot of games where we were losing in the first half, and it wasn't, I wasn't super optimistic. But then, a good coach team, well-coached team figures it out. And we just somehow we managed to win that game. That was a coin toss game. I mean, we easily could have lost that game, right? I mean, that was a game where it took a little bit of luck, but we got the job done. Matthew Sluka had a really big game, which I think led to the reason why he bailed on us after that. But we'll talk about that more. What'd you think about beating Kansas, Laura?
Oh, fantastic. Definitely. Big team on the road. That's exactly what you need to get all of, those gentlemen hyped up to come back, win at home. That's what they need, that confidence. Build that confidence and then come back and dominate at home as well. Yeah,
and that put UNLV's name on the map, kind of like a nationally relevant team, a team that, our opponents are going to have to respect, okay? We beat Kansas on the road. That's, that means we can beat most people. Kansas did go on to lose a lot of games after that, but then they figured it out and they started killing it in the Big 12, and they had some really big wins. So thank you, Kansas, for turning your season around, because it made our overall resume look better at the end of the season. Same with Houston. They did the same thing. Okay, next I have, that was number 7. Number 6 on the top 10 moments of 2024. Running Rebel basketball team finally beating San Diego freaking State. I'm so sick of losing to them. Go ahead, Laura.
And their fans, I'm sorry, but they are some of the most annoying fans. I cannot tolerate them most of the time.
Yeah, I mean, their fans drive me crazy. Me hating San Diego State has always been because of their fans. Had 100%. Nothing to do against their team, right? I think what annoys me is they just became good very recently, but they act like they're Duke. They act like they've had this awesome team for decades. As the years have gone by, it's a little bit more like respect versus hate. Because I admit I've had to just admit that I'm just jealous of them. But finally beating them at home, it was March 5th. We beat them 62-58. Dedan Thomas made the game winner. He had 19 points. He was sensational. Rob Whaley was amazing that game defensively. Shutting down San Diego State's best player. It was awesome, and very, very happy. Very excited that happened. Okay, number 5. So this is one of those things where, how high would you actually rate this? Some people might think it should be higher on this list. Some people probably think it shouldn't be on the list at all. for me, it was really big news. It was really exciting news. And that was Dedan Thomas Jr. making it official that he is returning to UNLV for his sophomore year. And that was huge because he was one of the best freshmen in the country. He had the University of Houston going after him hard, offering him tons of money, a lot more money than UNLV can afford. And then he still decided to stay loyal to the program and stay. So that was huge news because our expectations of, how that season could go the following year, how good we could potentially be, it gave us reason to be excited. It's one of the things that motivated me to start this podcast because it made me excited about the following season, right? And again, season hasn't gone the way I thought it would, but at the time, it was very exciting. It was very big news. Star point guard, hometown kid, one of the best freshman point guards in all of college basketball. Most of the time, that player leaves and they take the money. Now, he might end up doing that after this season. No one would blame him, but I thought that was worthy of being pretty high on this list. What did you think of the news that he was going to return, Laura?
Oh, it was exciting. It gave us all some hope, that we would continue to be good into this next season. I mean, we've had a little rocky start, but we're continuing to get better and better. I'm so hopeful that we'll continue to do better through this season.
Yeah. And you always got to try and remain optimistic. There's just some people that think we're always going to suck. We're never going to be good. It's all negative. Look, at some point we will be good again. It's just, come on. Like, did you ever think UNLV football would be where they're at now? No.
Correct.
Like, 5 years ago, if I said UNLV football was going to be a top 30 program year after year, eventually, like, everyone would laugh at me. And it was where we're at right now. It's looking like there's a good chance of that happening. So, okay, let's see. That was number 5. So yes, we're getting into the top 5 now. So number 4, best moment. I have UNLV football being ranked for the first time in history, November 20th. Yeah, that was seeing that number next to our name, knowing it's UNLV football, historically bad program, everything we've accomplished, everything we worked so hard for, to see it be recognized on a national scale. Like when you go on CBS Sports app or ESPN app and you see that number next to our name, it feels good. You feel like a badass, right? And I told people, Laura, you remember, they didn't believe me. I said, if UNLV football gets ranked, I'm making a cake.
Yep.
And I did that. I posted it on my social media. Actually, I think Laura actually made more of the cake than I did, but it was my idea. So, it was a red velvet cake with white frosting. Is it UNLV number 24 or whatever, 25, whatever we were?
I think at that point we were at 25, but I think we got as high as 23, did we not?
I think we got actually as high as 21.
Oh, wow.
And then currently 24. But I don't think they've done the final rankings. But, UNLV football being ranked for the first time in history was awesome for the program, awesome for the city, awesome for all the fans that have stuck with this program for so long. And a great moment, very deserving to be ranked high in this list. Okay, so now we're into the top 3 now. So number 3, best moment of 2024, the Rebel football team winning the LA Bowl hosted by Rob Gronkowski, beating Cal 24-13. That was December 18th. So I think winning that game to kind of solidify this awesome year we had, to, look respectable as a team that was legit. Because when you're in the Mountain West and you're in a lower level conference, you tend to not get respect from the bigger conferences, the teams from the Power 4 conferences, right? So going in there, beating a good Cal team, a Cal team that almost beat Miami, that beat some other good schools, that has a lot of talent, doing that on national television. But more importantly, just finishing the season off on a high note, finishing the season off, watching our guys celebrate, being on stage, DeJesus holding his little daughter, being interviewed. It was such a good feeling. It was emotional. It was our first bowl win in years.
Since 2000, I believe.
Yeah, so a long time that we've gone since winning a bowl game. And it was such a great way to finish the season off. What'd you think, Laura?
I think they did amazing. If I'm not mistaken, this was one of the first times in 40 years that they've had 11 wins. So that's amazing to end on such a good record.
Yeah, we ending up with an 11-3 record. We beat 3 power conference schools that season, which not even Boise State has ever done. And then the only power conference team that we did not beat was Syracuse, which we lost in overtime and got absolutely screwed by the refs. Should have won that game. But that was a testament to how good this team was, the fact that we were able to beat 3 of the 4, almost all 4 of the power conference opponents we played.
I think people knew we were going to be good, but I don't think they thought we were going to be this good, that they were going to come out and do as well as they did, which I'm glad they did. And I'm really excited for the next season because I think they're going to be better.
Right. I do too, and we'll talk about that more later, but I think at the very least we'll be as good next year. Well, when I get to this upcoming one, then we can dive a little bit more into that. But okay, so that was number 3. Number 2 best moment. And for me, this is an underrated moment. It was sensational. I strongly considered it putting number 1. I was so excited after this that I recorded my first Rebel Football podcast episode because there was so much to talk about. And that was beating Fresno State on September 28th, 59-14, blowing them out of the stadium, completely blowing them out. After all the events that followed with Sluka leaving the program and UNLV being in the media and people bashing us and talking crap and saying like what we're doing to kids is wrong, and these people that have no idea what's going on in the program, how they're disgusted at what we did, and just kind of putting UNLV's name out there like in a very negative way. People that have no clue what the actual truth was. This is a long conversation, so we won't get too much into it, especially because we have time restraints. What's the word? Time constraints. Okay. But yeah, so what Sluka did was, he's not too well liked right now in Las Vegas, and for the fact that our backup quarterback came in. Starting that game after everything that happened, played his best game of the year. UNLV was unbelievable. It was so emotional beating down Fresno that bad because I know people wanted to see us fail after that Matthew Sluka situation. So
and we remained undefeated at that point.
Yeah, so that brought us to 4-0. We were really looking like an awesome team. Unfortunately, we lost the next game to Syracuse, but at that point I was on such a high, Laura. I was on such a high after that game.
And we should have won that game, but that's okay.
Yeah, and that's okay. That's okay. But the Fresno State win was absolutely unbelievable. I'd have never had more fun at a football game in my life. We just beat them down so bad, and with everything that we'd been through before leading up to that game, it was truly remarkable that we pulled that off. So that's why I had that number 2. And then for number 1, and I'm going to explain my reason why this is number 1, it is hiring Dan Mullen on December 12th. The thought of getting Dan Mullen a few years ago was laughable. Like, that never would have happened, right? So Barry Odom doing what he did in 2 years for the program, elevating us to a highly respected team, a nationally relevant team, a team that can compete with the top schools. That's what led to us making this outstanding hire. We're talking about Dan Mullen, a guy who's won over 100 games in the SEC, the toughest conference in football, a guy who's known for developing quarterbacks, someone who's, he has one of the top 20 resumes in college football. He's coached at the top level. He's won really big games. He's been ranked. He was the SEC Coach of the Year. He's excited to be here. He's excited to have this job. He's off to an amazing start with these players he's bringing in. So my reason for having him ranked number 1 was because of what it means moving forward in the future. And yes, people are saying that he's just going to leave in a couple years when he gets offered more money for another job. You know what? That's okay, because that means we killed it. That means we stayed good. And there's no reason to think we can't bring in another good coach after that. But just knowing we have Dan Mullen, I'm confident that we are going to have a better offense next year, because as good as we were last year, our offense struggled at times. It struggled against really good defenses. Our offense was very limited. Okay, we didn't have a great passing game, so that's going to be much different now. So we had Dan Mullen, and then we bring in Anthony Calandria. We had improved talent. We're going to be an explosive offense next year. We're going to put up a lot of points. I think we're going to be at the very least, I think we're going to be as good next year. And we could be even better, because with bringing in Zach Arnett, the defensive coordinator, one of the best defensive coordinators there is, and then the increased talent that we're bringing in, there's no reason to think we shouldn't stay good defensively. And then I definitely believe we will be better offensively. So I'm so excited. I did want to talk about all the different recruits we're bringing in the last few days, but we'll save that for another episode because there's a lot to talk about. But so yeah, hiring Dan Mullen for me was the number one moment for UNLV football/basketball in 2024. So Laura, when you were thinking about your favorite moments, what was some of the stuff that you wrote down, or what were your thoughts about this?
I mean, definitely getting ranked, winning a bowl game. Those are all two very big things for those of us who want to win and see our team succeed. Obviously, Barry Odom leaving was sad, but as they say, one door closes, another one opens. And you're right, Dan Mullen's going to hopefully set the way to an even better season. I'm going to hopefully make that prediction now. But you're right, we'll be just as good, if not better. So I'm excited for it.
Awesome. This was fun. I really enjoyed making this list because it's a positive thing, right? With everything going on right now with UNLV basketball and everyone wanting Kruger fired, and I'm kind of sort of in that camp. But again, that's a conversation we'll have for another episode. But it was nice to talk about all the good memories we've had in the last
Absolutely.
year. And then I look forward to doing this exact same episode a year from now, Laura, of the top moments in 2025, including when we beat Alabama in the national championship game. There's some people that
Slow
are
down,
still,
Ryan.
because it's UNLV football, there's some people that are still so negative. Like I was talking to my coworker Ned today, and he was telling me how he was talking to his buddies, and they're all saying like, no, UNLV's never going to be good. No, the thought of UNLV being, a top program is a joke. They're never going to be good. They're always going to suck. And I'm like, oh my God. Well, they have no idea what we have. They're ignorant to all of our amazing facilities and everything we have going on around in the program. And I just assumed these were some friends from back east. He's like, no, these are Rebel season ticket
really?
holders. Yeah,
it's crazy.
So these are Rebel fans saying that. So I was like, yeah, disappointed to hear that, but it also kind of like brought me back to reality that some people are just never going to associate UNLV with being like a legit real football program. So we're going to have to prove ourselves, and we're going to have to do that by continuing to win big games. Just
Absolutely.
one season isn't enough that's going to get us respect. We're going to have to keep pushing forward, and I believe we're going to do so.
Agreed. Looking forward to it.
All right, guys, that's all we have for today. Hope you enjoyed that. I know we definitely enjoyed making that list and talking about it. And I'm going to record another episode soon talking about some of the new players that Dan Mullen has brought in. The talent's looking good. And then also talking about UNLV basketball and the debacle against Boise State and kind of where I see the program moving forward. So till next time, Rebel fans.